Happy Memorial Day, Dolphins fans, from Nic Rohloff here at Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. On today's show, we are going to do a Memorial Day mailbag. Thought it would be fun to answer some of the questions that you guys have surrounding the Miami Dolphins in terms of roster, contract rumors, free agent targets, trade rumors. We will have it all on today's show. And I'm going to be honest, this is the first mailbag that we're doing since I've taken over Dolphins Today by Chat Sports about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I want to know if you guys want more mailbags throughout the offseason into the regular season. So if you do want more mailbags of me answering the questions surrounding the Fins, type me down below. Genuine question here, folks. I really want to know if you want more mailbags, so get in the comment section and let me know. All right, first question coming in from Damian Cuber 022. When and will Tua get his contract extension? I mean, that's the most fascinating question surrounding the Dolphins, right? When is Tua going to get extended? It is Chris Grier going to give an extension to the former 5th overall pick. And this isn't my personal thoughts. This isn't what I believe the Dolphins should do. That is not what I'm saying here. But if you're asking me that question, I'm going to answer it honestly. And my prediction is that Tua will get extended this offseason. I just think there are too many people out there saying that the Dolphins want to get it done. And Tua obviously wants to get an extension done this offseason. There is too much buzz surrounding the two sides getting something done prior to the NFL season getting underway, and I believe it will be done prior to training camp. Like I said, just too much buzz around it. I think there's a resolution coming in June and maybe in the early portion of July. R Swimmer 8445 coming in here. Oh, this is a fascinating question. Let one walk, extend one, franchise tag one between Jaelan Phillips, Jaylen Waddle, and Jevon Holland. 3 of the best young players for the Miami Dolphins. And listen, all of them are up for contract extension soon. Phillips and Waddle still have another year before they're entering their final season. This is Holland's final year, and this is the way I'm going. I'm extending Jaylen Waddle, I'm tagging Jevon Holland, and I'm letting Jaelan Phillips walk. I don't know what you guys think, but here's my thoughts on this. Jaylen Waddle has had 1,000 yards or more in his first 3 NFL seasons. Tyreek Hill is continuing to get up there in age. So you want to have a succession plan at wide receiver 1 when Hill ends up retiring, which could be in 2 seasons. It could be in 4. Who knows when he's evidently going to call it quits. But Waddle has been effective, and he has a great chemistry with Tua. So to me, you need to keep him around long term, and wide receivers are just continuing to make bank. So I think they'll extend Jaylen Waddle. Jevon Holland should be tagged because he's the cheapest tag option out of these 3 positions of edge, safety, wide receiver. The tag is the cheapest with Holland. His tag is also coming up the quickest. It would have to be next offseason because he is going to be a free agent next year if they don't get an extension done. So I'll tag Jevon Holland. And the reason why I'm letting Jaelan Phillips walk, it's a tough decision out of these 3 guys, but I'm letting him walk because you just drafted Chop Robinson and Mo Kamara. So you already have 2 solid edge guys that are going to be growing and under contract for the next 3 to 4 seasons. You also are paying Bradley Chubb 4 more years of a contract worth $25+ million each. So, yeah, I don't think you could pay another edge rusher that much money. You have Chop, you have Kamara, you have Chubb. You do technically have a future in plan for the edge group. But now I want to toss it over to you guys. Which player would you extend? I'm not asking you to do the cut, walk, extend thing. I'll just ask you to just pick one to extend. Type JW if you're with me on Jaylen Waddle, JH for Jevon Holland, or JP for Jaelan Phillips. All right, this one's coming from Angel Dust Lyrics. Nice profile picture, by the way. Hi, what are the realistic chances of the Dolphins signing Calais Campbell and Justin Simmons? Thanks. Well, you know what? I appreciate you for being subscribed and giving a question, because all these questions are coming in from our community tab, by the way, and you have to be subscribed. So if you want to ask a question in a future video, make sure you do hit that sub button. But to answer this question, signing both Calais Campbell and Justin Simmons, 15%, like that might even be too high if we're going to be honest here. The notion of them signing both are pretty low because, listen, they will get $18 million in cap space after June 1st when Xavier Howard's contract comes off the book. So they'll have the ability to sign both if they signed one for $8 million on a 1-year deal, the other one for like $5 million on a 1-year season. But to me, it's just unlikely that Chris Grier wants both. But I will say this. For either one, give me 50%, because we know the top three needs for the Dolphins as followed. Interior offensive line, safety to be a third guy with Jevon Holland and Jordan Poyer. I don't know why I just spaced there. And then a defensive lineman to pair up with Zach Sealer to sort of replace Christian Wilkins. I do believe one of those three positions are something the Dolphins will address post-June 1st. So if they do want to address the defensive line or safety, I believe one of those two guys will be top priorities, and I think they'll go with one. But if you were asking me which one out of the two I would rather sign, well, I would answer, I know you didn't ask this, with Justin Simmons, because I do have a little bit of belief in Tua Tagovailoa if he's able to get his conditioning right, and Neville Gallimore will be solid as well. And Justin Simmons is just a natural free safety and ball hawk. And what would be allowed here is let Jevon Holland be a more roaming threat on an Anthony Weaver-led defense where he can play in the nickel, he can play in the box. And just in case you get an injury to like Cater Kohu or something, if you sign Justin Simmons, you're comfortable having Simmons and Poyer in the back while moving Holland to potentially nickel in some type of formations. I think just signing Justin Simmons gives you much more flexibility on your defense than signing Calais Campbell. Coming in from Tropical NFL, must be a Dolphins fan. Interesting profile picture of Jahmyr Gibbs, though. Asking, I think we should try to pursue a replacement for Christian Wilkins like a Jonathan Allen sort of player. Well, we've talked about Jonathan Allen in the past. I think just last weekend we explored what a trade would look like. I think Jonathan Allen would be great. And even though I just said I would choose Justin Simmons over Calais Campbell, if a Jonathan Allen trade was on the table and it was relatively cheap, like meaning you don't have to give up a second or a first-round pick in 2025, I'd be all in, because this is one of the most disruptive interior defensive linemen in the entire NFL. He's just been terrific for the Commanders over his career, having an unreal season in 2021, followed up with two pretty good years in 22-23, not as good as 2021 when he was definitely one of the best interior defensive linemen, but he would just add another layer to this defensive line. Him and Zach Sealer would be an unreal duo. I know a lot of people are a little bit concerned about Allen's dip in production and PFF grades in 2023. That could be because Chase Claypool and Montez Sweat were dealt away from Washington, so opposing offensive lines were honing in on Allen more with a game plan. But either way, Allen, Sealer, mixed with those edges on that D-line would form the most formidable group in the entire NFL. Make sure you are subscribed, not only for more mailbags coming up, but how about this, folks? Dolphins live shows are returning tomorrow. Yes, you heard that. Tuesdays are going to be our new live show slot. We're going to keep that going for the entire offseason. I am so excited to hang out with you guys, get to know y'all more as we approach the training camp season and the regular season. So subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications, because we don't have a time set just yet for Tuesday, but we'll let you know on the community tab as well. Turn on those noties, though, just in case, so you do not miss when we go live. This was coming in from my guy, Mike Nintendo Master, also someone who watches the Heat Report. Shout out to you. Go Heat too, by the way. If you're a Heat fan, go subscribe to that channel I host. But he asked, what, or she, I don't know, what will Tua extension, I'm going to assume you meant to say extension, Mike, look like? Well, I actually did a little bit of a segment earlier on in this week on a potential Tua Tagovailoa extension, what I think it would look like. This is my prediction. A 4-year, $220 million deal, $180 million guaranteed, and $55 million in annual average salary. You might ask how I got those numbers. Well, Jared Goff just got an extension a couple weeks ago. I believe Tua is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. He's better. He's more younger as well, which would add to more money going to Tua. He got paid $212 million in total, with $170 million guaranteed, coming out to $53 a year. Think you give Tua $2 more mil a season than Jared Goff and $10 more million in guarantee. I think that's the deal that Tua is going to want, and I think that's the deal that's ended up going to get done. And if it does get done, and this is the exact deal, I'm going to come on here and flex that because ball knowledge, baby. All right, let's move over to Bill McCraney 9960. Trade scenario: Jeff Wilson Jr. and Eazy-E, a.k.a. Eric Ezukama, for Budda Baker, who's in the last year of his contract, or one of those two and a third next year for Baker. Also, who would be cheaper to sign? Baker or Simmons. So you are right about Budda Baker going into his final year of his contract. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2025. He's getting paid, at least he has a cap hit right now of a 19.025. So you could have maybe Arizona eat some of that, but as things currently stand for Miami, they would not be able to take in Budda Baker's salary for 2024. Now you could create some salary cap space by doing a bunch of things, extending Tua, restructuring Bradley Chubb, but a Budda Baker trade is very unlikely in my opinion. If they did make a deal, it'd be quite the three safeties you have in the building. I also don't think one of those two and a third would get it done. Maybe a third and like a fifth, but I don't think the Cardinals would want any of those two players. But to answer your final question quickly, be cheaper to sign? Well, you'd obviously have to pay Baker at least half of that $19 million. And I think Justin Simmons would sign for a 1-year, $8 million deal or a 1-year, $9 million deal. So I would believe Justin Simmons would be cheaper for Miami in a 1-year deal. But hey, if you trade for Baker, you could technically extend him, and Jordan Poyer, who is not going to be in Miami longer as he's at the tail end of his career, could be the duo with Jevon Holland of the future. So pick a safety for me. Which safety would you rather have on the Dolphins? Would you rather trade for Budda Baker, type BB, or would you rather sign Justin Simmons, type your JS's? Both players are talented. Both have their pros. Both have their cons. Tough decision for me. I just don't think it would be likely for the Dolphins to trade for Baker, so I'd probably be typing my JS. All right, final question on today's show. William Bonney gets it in, 8954. Will the Dolphins address the offensive line? Who is available? Not just the big names, because we likely won't sign them. Thank you. Well, I actually will talk about just the big names. Sorry to disregard that little note in your question, William, but it's because I think those three are the most likely. And who are those three? Greg Van Roten, Dalton Risner, and Connor Williams. They're also not big names. Like, let's be real here, folks. These guys aren't star-studded players. Connor Williams is very good, but coming off that nasty ACL injury, he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. He's likely not even going to be ready until like week 7 and beyond to make a difference on a team. So if you were to bring back Connor Williams, you'd be able to bring him back slowly, and then if you still deem interior offensive line a massive issue halfway through the year, you can either go to the trade deadline or you can have Connor Williams. Dalton Risner is an intriguing name. He's played left guard his entire career. But if you've been with the channel over the past 3 weeks, I've been pounding the table for Greg Van Roten. Very good year, one of his best seasons in his career last year for Las Vegas, playing exclusively right guard, which is the biggest position on this Dolphins roster. I would sign Greg Van Roten on a 1-year, $2.5, $3.5 million deal. I think he would accept that, and he would probably be in line to start on that right guard spot for the Dolphins. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. If you did not get your questions answered on today's mailbag, there's another way to get my attention. That is to follow me on Twitter. You can reply to one of my tweets with a question. You can DM me. My DMs are open. I'm not a fraud. So go follow me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff and continue the conversation.